Hello and glad to have you on the news on NTA International. I'm Chimobi Walter Naji. We'll start with the headlines. As World marks Day of Remembrance for road traffic victims, Federal Road Safety Corps cautions Nigerians to reduce spate of road crashes. New cases of COVID-19 in the United States rise by 6 figures for 12 consecutive days. Cameroon's Ministry of Livestock bans importation of birds to keep against outbreak of avian influenza. All right, and as the Federal Road Safety Corps joins the world to mark the International Day of Remembrance for road traffic victims, and Nigerians have been cautioned to imbibe safe driving to drastically reduce the spate of road crashes. Now, this was the message at the commemoration of the 2020 World Remembrance Day of Road Traffic Victims. Oyeyemi Ajayi tells us more.
The road, always busy with vehicles, pedestrians and cyclists. It is one of the major means of transportation, but also with the highest record of deaths and fatalities, mostly blamed on careless driving, mechanical faults and even the road itself. The December 2018 Global Status Report on Road Safety, launched by the World Health Organization, says road traffic injuries are now the leading killer of people aged between 5 to 29 years old. This is one objective towards the commencement of the World Day of Remembrance for Road Traffic Victims, targeted at drawing attention to the scale of emotional and economic devastation caused by road crashes and for giving recognition to the suffering of road crash victims and the work of support and rescue services. It is not a different story in Nigeria, as the Federal Road Safety Corps annually marks the day, reminding Nigerians on the need to always be safety conscious on the road.
This year's theme, remember, support and act. So we need to remember those people we lost in the road traffic crashes. We need to support government and agencies to be able to continue to mitigate the issues we have around road traffic crash.
The Decade of Action for Road Safety 2011 to 2020, officially proclaimed by the UN General Assembly on March 2010, seeks to save millions of lives by building road safety management capacity, improving the safety of road infrastructure, further developing the safety of vehicles, enhancing the behavior of road users, and improving post-crash response.
Nigerians on the road are excited. They are not really helping matters. And our call to everyone is to be road disciplined. Every time we talk about road user behavior, people think it's just one of our cliches, but there is need for us to really emphasize that the public is very mindful of their behavior on the road. It's very pathetic.
However, the Global Status Report on Road Safety indicates that the progress to realize Sustainable Development Goal targets 3.6, which calls for 50% reduction in the number of road traffic deaths by 2020, remains far from sufficient. Hence, all hands must be on deck to achieve these targets, and therefore, the awareness of safe driving must be inculcated by all. In Abuja, Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
Thank you very much, Oyeyemi. And to speak more on the day, we have in the studios Deputy Corps Commander, National Traffic Radio, Honey Ogundayo. Good to have you on the news tonight.
Good evening.
All right, so the UN General Assembly in March 2010 proclaimed 2011 to 2020 as the Decade of Action for Road Safety. Now, how has Nigeria fared in terms of reduction in road crashes within this period?
Thank you very much. I must tell you that the Federal Road Safety is doing so much under the leadership of the present Corps Marshal, Dr. Boboy Oyemi, MFR MNI. We have keyed into the United Nations Decade of Action, and to start with, we have good road safety management. Secondly, we are doing a lot in the area of public enlightenment. The second pillar of the decade of action is a safer road. And we are looking at a day whereby we have probably zero deaths on our roads. Then thirdly, we are also looking at the road infrastructure, whereby people will listen, they will obey the traffic rules, the road infrastructure will be there. Then number 4 pillar is the road user behavior, whereby we are looking at attitudinal change of people. So we do a lot of public enlightenment. We go to churches, mosques, anywhere we can see people, parks, garages, anywhere we can meet with people, we do a lot of public enlightenment to enlighten them, to tell people to drive to stay alive. Then the 5th pillar, which is post-crash care, before now, we look at response time as 30 minutes, but now it has been reduced to 15 minutes. And in case there's any crash, we also have a toll-free number, which is 122, that we encourage people to call, so that in case there's any crash anywhere in Nigeria, when you dial the number 122, the number will get to our headquarters at Abuja, and they will call the nearest office, whereby we quickly rush to go and save lives. So in FRSC, we have fared so well in that area.
Yeah, is there anything the Corps is doing to reduce the response time, to at least an internationally accepted time frame?
Yes, sir, that's what I've just said. It has been reduced to 15 minutes. Even at times, we get there 3 minutes. It depends on people to also assist us, because road safety is a shared responsibility. We cannot do it alone. We need people to assist. In case you see any accident or any crash on the road, if you alert us, within 1 minute, 2 minutes, we are there.
All right, so secondly, the COVID-19 pandemic, has no doubt negatively affected all spheres of human life. In what ways has it affected the Corps' operation?
Thank you, sir. Yes, during the COVID-19 lockdown, we have lesser road traffic crashes, and we go about with our public enlightenment, public education, advising people to key into the protocols. So during that particular period, we recorded low traffic crashes.
Okay, so the objectives of this year's celebration, among other things, is to provide a platform for road traffic victims and their families to acknowledge the crucial work of emergency services. How does the Corps intend to achieve this?
Yes, the theme for this year's road safety, accident crash Remembrance Day is remember, support, and act. We remember those people that have lost their lives. We felt the pains of the families they left behind, the trauma they are passing through. And we also encourage people to support the government in order to provide safer road for every road user. And we want people to act, because it depends on attitudinal change. When we go about for our public enlightenment, one thing is for people to listen, one thing is for people to act, to obey the rules and regulations guiding the highways, to remember that the loved ones are waiting for them at home. So it's important that all of us come together to achieve this. It's a collective responsibility.
Okay, so the year is fast winding up, and we're almost at the last lap of the year. What is the Corps doing, to further reduce crashes, especially at this period?
During this particular year, we do what we call special operations. And during these special operations, it still borders so much on public enlightenment. We do light enforcement, but mainly we do public enlightenment, whereby we want to educate the motoring public. We want to educate them. We want to tell them that, if anybody is looking for money, you need to stay alive to spend the money, because only the living celebrate. And when you are traveling, please plan your journey. It's not because we are going for a journey that will take maybe like 2 hours, then you want to use 1 hour, you want to use a crash program. All this will not work. We don't want people to be making calls while driving. We want people to obey the rules and regulations. If you are doing the right thing, the next person is doing the right thing. Then all of us together, we achieve these goals.
Okay, Deputy Corps Commander, National Traffic Radio, Honey Ogundayo, we thank you very much for being with us on the news tonight.
Thank you, sir.
And now, moving forward, new cases of COVID-19 in the United States rise by 6 figures for 12 consecutive days as death toll from the Philippines typhoon Wamko hits 67. Uche Ugochukwu has more on Global Update.
Japan is experiencing a record number of daily COVID-19 cases for the third day in a row, with 1,738 new infections, as reported by the country's health ministry. The U.S. saw a rise by 6 figures for 12 consecutive days, having recorded more than 100,000 on Saturday. Meanwhile, the Navajo Nation plans to implement stricter health measures for 3 weeks, starting Monday as cases continue to rise. The African continent, on the other hand, reported 1,119 new cases, bringing the total confirmed cases to 1,976,383 and fatality to 47,169. Nigeria detected 112 new infections Saturday, bringing the country's positive cases to 64,996. In the meantime, the Worldometer coronavirus dashboard as of 6 p.m. local time puts the global infections tally at 54,457,275 and 1,321,646 fatalities. On a more disturbing incident, at least 10 people have been killed in a fire at a Romanian hospital where COVID-19 patients are treated. The blaze broke out in an intensive care unit treating 16 patients. To other news now, British and Irish ministers say a post-Brexit trade agreement has to succeed this week as London's top negotiators went back into talks, saying progress had been made in recent days. In Ethiopia, the 12-day conflict between the government and the forces in the country's Tigray region is spreading as the Tigrayan forces fired rockets across the border into neighboring Eritrea after claiming Ethiopian soldiers were using an Eritrean airport to attack Tigray. However, Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed denied the accusation in a tweet. And death toll from the deadliest cyclone to hit the Philippines this year has risen to 67, while many areas remain submerged. Thanks for staying with us. I am Uche Ugochukwu.
Thank you very much, Uche Ugochukwu. Now, Cameroon's Ministry of Livestock, Fisheries and Animal Industry has given strict orders to stop the importation of chicks from its supplying countries to keep the territory safe from the avian influenza.
The World Health Organization, WHO, has published a report on the outbreak of the bird flu in some European countries. It is in this regard that the Cameroon Minister of Livestock, Fisheries and Animal Industries, Dr. Taiga, published a service note on preventive measures put in place. Francois Jongno, president of the poultry sector in Cameroon, also spoke to Cameroon Tribune on the situation. Measures being taken include the ban of poultry imports from neighboring countries and France, where Cameroon imports most of its agricultural products, and the reinforcement of customs surveillance on Cameroon borders.
We have received messages in our WhatsApp group and we are at alert. We hope government has taken measures to avoid the bird flu to reach Cameroon.
It's worth noting that in 2017, Cameroon witnessed an episodic of bird flu with hundreds of poultry decimated in the West region, Adamawa and the Central region, incurring an estimated loss of over 16 billion CFA francs.
Now, in recognition of their exceptional contribution to the nation during active years in service, the management of State House has honored 19 retired staff. The retirees, including 4 in the Directorate cadre, were presented gifts by the Permanent Secretary Tijani Umar during a dinner at the State House Conference Center, Abuja. The Permanent Secretary said it was a token of appreciation to the former staff, urging them to always keep fond memories of the State House and stay in touch with the colleagues. Deputy Director Information, State House, Atta Issa, said the Permanent Secretary also appealed to the current staff in the State House to work as a team and eschew all forms of sectionalism. All right, you're still watching the news on NTA International, reaching you from Abuja. We'll take a short break now. More stories when we return.
Demands of #EndSARS movement. Immediate release of all arrested protesters. Justice for all deceased victims of police brutality and appropriate compensation for their families. Setting up an independent body to oversee the investigation and prosecution of all reports of police misconduct within 10 days. In line with the new Police Act, psychological evaluation and retraining to be confirmed by an independent body of all disbanded SARS officers before they can be redeployed. Increase police salary so that they are adequately compensated for protecting the lives and property of citizens. Federal government's response. On 11th October 2020, the Inspector General of Police dissolved the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS, across the 36 states police commands and the Federal Capital Territory. On October 12th, President Muhammadu Buhari addressed the nation, stating, "The disbanding of SARS is only the first step in our commitment to extensive police reforms." On 13th October 2020, the Inspector General of Police ordered all defunct SARS personnel to report at Force Headquarters, Abuja, for debriefing as well as psychological and medical examination. On 13th October 2020, the Presidential Panel on the Reform of SARS accepted the 5-point demand of the #EndSARS protesters. On 15th October 2020, the National Economic Council, NEC, directed the immediate establishment of state-based judicial panels of inquiry across the country to receive and investigate complaints of police brutality, related extrajudicial killings with a view to delivering justice for all victims of the dissolved SARS and other police units. State governors should immediately establish state-based special security and human rights committees to be chaired by governors in their state and to supervise the newly formed police tactical units and all other security agencies located in the state. This will ensure the protection of citizens' human rights. Members will also include representatives of youth and civil society, as well as head of police tactical units in each of the states.
Experience unlimited super-fast internet access from Intel 4G. Intel. Live more.
Glad to have you back on the news. Now, the federal government says it will evolve more collaborative ventures with state governments to achieve sustainable development and peace in the country. Minister of Trade and Investment, Otumba Niyi Adebayo, gave this assurance at an interactive session with the people of Ekiti State on the aftermath of the EndSARS protests. Kola Adebobui reports.
Interactive session tagged "The Aftermath of EndSARS Protest and the Need for Sustainable Peace in Ekiti State" was an opportunity for concerned persons to highlight various issues bothering the minds of the people for total transformation of the country. These, they said, include the alarming rates of unemployment, poverty and insecurity, and identified the need for youth development agenda, capacity building, educational development, total reform of the police system, with a clarion call for Nigerian leaders to change their mindsets as ways to improve every sector to achieve sustainable peace and development in the country. The Minister of Trade and Investment, Otunbaniyi Adebayo, said the gathering on the instance of President Muhammadu Buhari became imperative to get feedback from stakeholders with a view to improving government efforts at making life more bearable for Nigerians.
And we also have SMEDA, which is called the Medium Enterprise Development Agency of Nigeria, which does similar training with a view to assisting people in employment.
Governor Kayode Fayemi, who acknowledged that government is not unconscious of various challenges confronting Nigerian society, observed that efforts are run at state and federal levels to alleviate the sufferings of Nigerians.
The Nigerian government's goal is synergizing with the federal government and working out modalities on how to meticulously solve this problem, one after the other.
The gathering agreed that there is need for sustainable development and promotion of peace in the state to allow delivery of dividends of democracy, hence the cooperation of every citizen for future purposes. In Ado-Ekiti, Kola Adebowiji, NTA News.
And now for some political reports. A group known as Ebonyi All Progressives Congress stakeholders and elders for peace at the end of their meeting in Abakaliki has, amongst other things, agreed to lay aside their differences, work together for their interest and that of the party. Chika Okorie reports.
Assessing the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, who has surpassed records of previous governments in Nigeria, especially as it concerns power generation and growing agriculture to achieve food sufficiency, as well, forming a formidable front that will take full control of political arrangements in Ebonyi State, where issues on the front burner have this gathering tagged Ebonyi APC stakeholders and elders for peace. The Executive Director, Administration and Training, NTA, Dr. Steve Ebo, is the chief convener of this delegate assembly.
Well, the essence of this meeting is first and foremost to let our people know that APC is alive and thriving in Ebonyi State. And secondly, we want to use this medium to congratulate our leader, Muhammadu Buhari. He's doing very well. Despite the numerous challenges we face, which is a global thing, he has done well to move Nigeria to the next level.
Nigeria has become self-sufficient in food security, and that is the biggest achievement of any nation or any government. That you can feed yourself is a wondrous achievement.
Assuaging fears that defectors who may join the party as registration commences soon, speakers encourage the party faithful to rather reposition for greater opportunities ahead.
Is that the party should stop recognizing the leadership which court have sacked.
This delegates assembly is advising the public not to recognize any faction of the party as it was earlier nullified by courts of competent jurisdiction. In Abakaliki, Chika Okorie, NTA News.
Now, Ladi Bala, a reporter with the Nigerian Television Authority, has emerged national president of the Nigerian Association of Women Journalists. The #1 seat of the association is one of the 10 executive positions contested by 23 candidates. Fatima Usman reports from Mina, venue of the 10th Triennial Delegate Conference.
The executive members of the Nigerian Association of Women Journalists is made up of 19 people. Ladi Bala of the Nigerian Television Authority succeeded in clinching the highest seat after beating 3 other contestants with 439 of the 823 votes cast.
Helen Odofa is hereby returned as the new National Secretary of NAWAJ. Okonkwo Lillian Ogabo is hereby returned as the Deputy National President of NAWAJ. Ladi Bala, having secured the majority of the votes, is hereby returned and declared as the new National President of NAWAJ.
Other positions contested are National Vice President, Vice President Zones C and E, National and Zonal Secretaries, Zone C and D, National Treasurer, as well as Internal Auditor, while 9 other executives, including the Financial Secretary, returned unopposed.
NAWOD should speak for the less privileged. NAWOD will be advocating on the issue of sexual and gender-based violence in our society, particularly the issue of rape, which has become very, very endemic. So these are some of the areas that will be doing things differently, apart from just building the capacity of our members.
The newly elected officials were subsequently inaugurated by the national executives of the umbrella body of the association, the Nigerian Union of Journalists, led by the president, Chris Isiguzo. In Mina, Fatima Usman, NTA News.
And now to sports. A Nigerian judoka continues bid to be at Tokyo Olympics as Lewis Hamilton wins record equaling title. Details with Manzi Marcus on Sports Update.
Despite the coronavirus pandemic, athletes around the world are working hard to qualify for the Tokyo 2020 Olympics to be held in 2021. Among them is Nigeria's Enku Ekuta, who improved her rankings by earning 100 points during the International Judo Federation-sanctioned Dakar Open in Senegal, attended by 83 competitors from 18 countries. She defeated 2019 African Games champion Wezeu Demboyo Helen of Cameroon to win gold in the women's -63 kilogram class after her